In this video we're going to be adding the startup screen, the startup layout. So in our layouts we've currently got game. If we right click on layouts, we're going to add a new layout. So add layout, and we're also going to add an event sheet for our layout. So we add event sheet. Okay, so here's our layout. We'll zoom out. And so we've got layout 1, and with that we've got event sheet 1. Now we're going to rename these straight away. So we've clicked on layout 1 and we're going to change this to start, and the event sheet 1 also we need to rename that to start event sheet. Okay, so it just makes it easier to see what's what. So this is the wrong size. We need to change the size of this new layout, and that is 720, 1280. And so we're going to start adding the graphics. We're not actually going to add any layers to this because it's a static screen. It's just got some graphics that are going to stay there, so we can just stack everything on top of each other. So we're going to double click and we're going to add a sprite, and this is going to be our background sprite. So we're going to load our background here. Okay, it gives the warning it's very large. That's fine. So we're going to shrink this down. This size needs to be 720, 1280, and we can position it by 360, 640. There we go. Okay, so that's our background. That's great. We need to name it. Sorry. So this is our background, and we are going to add a start button to this. So we double click here, sprite, load, and this is our start button. That's great. Put that down there. Now we're going to get onto our logo in a minute. That's going to be another tutorial about getting that graphic in. We'll deal with the logic of this first, and we'll add the high score as well, and then we'll go back to adding this logo in. Okay, so we've got this start button. Need to call it start button, and let's add the high score. So we're going to add the text. Remember, not text box. We're going to add text, and this is going to be our high score text. And we'll stretch this out a little bit, and we will change that font a little bit bigger, make it bold, maybe 18, and I think we want to center this. Yep, that's good. Now remember, you might need to stretch this out to make sure everything fits. It's a little bit small here, isn't it? You can also add some text underneath, just kind of explaining what the game is, and explain that you have to click really fast. That's up to you. So we're going to code up to get the high score retaining. So each time the game restarts, the high score will be retained, and you know, next time they come back to the game, it will still be there and not be lost every single time. Okay, so for that we're actually going to need some storage. So we're going to double click here again, and we've got the storage. Where's that? Local storage. Here we go. So local storage, we're going to add that object. Again, it's just added local storage available to the whole project. We can't see anything except in our project tab, in our objects. There's the local storage. So now we're going to add the code for this. Now we created this layout, and when we created this layout, we created an event sheet. So, and as you can see on this start layout, we can see this event sheet has the start event sheet. We could select none, or we could select the other one, but it has to be, it needs its own event sheet. We don't really want to mix the event sheets up. It's good to keep them separate for this particular purpose. So we go to our start event sheet. Now if it's not here, you just need to double click on the start event sheet there, and it'll open up. And now we need to start adding the events to this. So as we did with the other layout, we need to scroll to the center, because remember the size of the layout is a lot bigger than the window size. So we're going to go System, on Start of Layout. We're going to add the first action. It's going to be System, and it's going to be scroll to position, and that was 360. by 640. Okay, so that's now centered our display. What we need to do is check the if the high score even exists. So we need to local storage, and we need to check item exists, and that item is called high score. Then, so we're going to say, well, okay, we're going to add an event, and we're going to say local storage if on item exists, and that item is called high score. So we're going to right click and we're going to add another global variable, and this is going to be high score, and it's going to be a number, and we're going to set it initially to 0. So that's a global number. If we check that it exists, and it does actually exist, it means there's already been a high score set. So we're going to take that high score and put it into the variable high score that we've just created here. Okay, so this high score here is different to this high score here. So we add action, and it's a system event, and we're going to set value, and we're going to put the saved high score into the high score global variable. So that is the local storage value item item value. So local storage dot item value, capital I, capital V. Click done. And so once we've got that, we want to set whatever that number is now into the text box here. So we go add action, and we're going to say high score text, and we're going to scroll down to set text, and this is going to, in the quote marks, high score, space between that, ampersand, let's add in it, and then we can get that high score. There we go, high score, done. Okay, well that's if the high score exists. That's if they've played the game before and they've already set a high score. What if they haven't actually played the game? Well, we need to create that high score. So we're going to add an event, and we're going to say local storage. We're going to on missing, on item missing, because high score doesn't exist yet. You know, we've got the local storage, but we've not set anything in there. And we're going to actually say we're going to set item high score. If that's missing, we're going to say local storage set item, call it high score because we're creating it from scratch, and that variable is going to be 0. We don't put in quote marks because it's a number. We shouldn't have to. Let me check if that works. Yes, that should work. Okay, so that's actually all of the logic that's needed to kind of set the high score and then record any high score. What we have to do in the previous one is we need to check, you know, if they've beaten the high score, we need to actually check that and actually then throw that into the storage. So we're going to go back to our game event sheet, and at the bottom here it's going to be its own event. So we're going to add the event, and it's going to be an ongoing process. So as the score goes above the actual high score, it's going to actually be recording that as it goes. So it's going to be a system event, and we're going to be compared to values, and the first value is the score, and if the score is greater than the high score, we're going to do something, and we're going to say system set value. We say high score. Actually, we're going to say, high score is actually going to equal score. That means we're going to transfer whatever's in score into high score, and then we're going to store that in the local storage. So it's going to be a local storage and set item, and that is the high score, and that will be high score. click done. Okay, so we've checked whether the score is greater than the high score. If that's true, then new high score has been set. Then we transfer that into the score value, and then we transfer that high score into the local storage. Okay, so that should be okay. Now, what we will do at this point is we will remove this text. So we'll just scroll down, and where it says text, we're just going to delete that, and that's now become invisible. It's still there, but it's just not so obvious. And now we need to create a function for this start button. So we go to the event sheet and we say add event on touch. So it's a touch event on touched object, and that's the start button. We want to system, go to layout, and that layout is game. Click done. And then also what we need to do is in the game, at the moment when we die, we just restart layout, and actually we need to go to the start layout. So we go down here and we go to the on collision with lava. At the moment it says system restart layout. Well, we're going to double click on that, and we're actually going to go to layout, and that's the start layout. Okay, so all we've got to do now is add some of the music. So we'll just scroll down here, quickly add the music here. So music, right click on music, import music, and we've got the game music and the start screen. Remember, I'm holding down the control key to select just individuals. See, I can select and deselect using the control button on my keyboard. So we've got game music and start screen music. We'll open both of those, import those, converting the WAV files into the OGG and AAC. Takes a little bit longer. These are a little bit longer files. That's why we don't put them in the sounds, because if we have to wait for them to load while the game's loading, people might get bored and not wait around. So we actually want the game to load as quickly as possible. The music's not as crucial. Okay, so now we've got the music added, we want to actually get that music playing. So on the game, as soon as the game starts on start layout, we're going to add action audio, and we're going to play, and we're going to play the game music. We do want it to loop. We'll take the volume down a little bit, -10. You can change that yourself depending on how you want. You know yourself, music can get a little bit irritating sometimes if it's playing non-stop. Click done. Now, what you have to remember is this will play and will just keep on looping. You've told it to play and loop forever. You do actually have to stop it at some point when the hero dies. You actually want that music to stop. So we're going to add an action, and we're going to say audio. We're going to stop. We're going to stop all, and we're just going to drag that slightly above. So go to start. We just want it above it. Just go to start. Stop all. And we've also got some music for the start screen. So we're going to on start layout. We're going to add action audio, and we're going to go to play. And we want to play start screen music. We do want that to loop. And again, we'll -10 on that. And again, before we go to the game, we want that music to stop. So we add another action, and we say on the audio, we want to stop. Stop all. And just drag that above the go to game. Okay, at that point, oh, cancel that. At that point, we should have a game that's ready to roll. The only other thing we need to do is add the graphic here for the logo, which is going to be the next video, to edit this in Photoshop.